Hello, sweetheart. I'm going to read you a beautiful story so you can feel warm and cozy under your blankets. If you want, you can set your phone or tablet aside and let your imagination spark to life. The Little Church of the Hill. On a quiet hill above a small town, there was a little church with white walls and a steeple that pointed toward the sky. In front of the church, every Christmas, the people set up a wooden nativity, a small stable, a manger filled with straw, and carved figures of Mary, Joseph, the shepherds, and the baby Jesus. One December evening, the air was cold and still. Snow rested softly on the rooftops and evergreen branches. Stars were beginning to appear, one by one, like tiny candles in the sky. In a house nearby lived a boy named Lucas. He had just finished helping his grandmother bake cookies. The warm smell of cinnamon and sugar still lingered as he pulled on his scarf and boots. "Grandma," Lucas asked, "can we go see the nativity before bed?" She smiled. "Yes, dear. Christmas is almost here. It's a good night to remember why we celebrate." They stepped outside together, their breath puffing in small clouds. The snow crunched under their feet as they walked up the path toward the church. The town was quiet, with only a few lights glowing in windows. When they arrived, the nativity stood glowing with soft yellow light. A single lamp shone above the wooden stable, making the straw glimmer gently. The painted figures cast peaceful shadows on the snow. Lucas pressed his mittened hands to the fence around the display. His grandmother stood beside him, saying nothing for a while. He looked at Mary and Joseph, at the shepherds and the little carved sheep, and finally at the tiny baby figure lying in the manger. "Grandma," he whispered, "tell me again about when Jesus was born." So she did. She told him of a journey to Bethlehem, with Mary and Joseph walking tired but hopeful under the stars. She told him of the crowded inn, of the stable behind it, and of how there was no crib, only a manger filled with straw. She told him how, in that quiet place, Jesus was born on a night that seemed ordinary, what was full of light the world could not see yet. She told him of shepherds in the field hearing angels singing, "Peace on earth." Lucas listened without speaking, his eyes fixed on the tiny baby in the manger. "Was it very quiet?" he asked softly. "I imagine it was," his grandmother replied. "Quiet and yet full of something gentle and holy, like the whole world was holding its breath." Snowflakes began to drift down again, slowly, like pieces of the sky. "Sometimes," his grandmother said, "we think of Christmas as lights and presents and songs. Those are good things. But at the heart of it all is this, a tiny baby born so we would know that God is close to us, even when nights feel cold and dark." Lucas thought of times when he had been afraid or worried about things he couldn't explain. The idea that he was not alone made a warm, quiet feeling spread through his chest. "Jesus must have been very small," he said. "Smaller than me." "Yes," said his grandmother. "And yet even so small, he brought a light that never really goes out." The church bells began to ring the hour, slow and gentle. Each note floated over the snow and faded into the sky. Lucas watched the carved baby Jesus and imagined the real child lying in a manger, wrapped in cloth, breathing slow and steady. He imagined Mary humming a lullaby, Joseph keeping watch, and animals shifting softly in the straw. "Grandma," he said, "do you think Jesus could see the stars that night?" "I think so," she answered. "I think the sky was full of the same light he came to bring." They fell silent. The snow continued to fall, gathering on the roof of the little stable and along the fence. The lamp above the nativity shone steady and warm. Lucas slipped his hand into his grandmother's gloved one. "I'm glad Jesus was born," he said. "So am I," she replied. "And each Christmas when we see this manger, we remember that love came to us in the smallest, gentlest way." A breeze moved across the hill, making the evergreens rustle softly. Lucas felt the warmth of his grandmother's hand and of the thought of a child in a manger, who made the dark feel less heavy. "Can we say thank you?" he asked. His grandmother nodded. "You can, in your heart or with words. Either way, he hears." Lucas looked at the tiny figure of Jesus and whispered a small "thank you." The words were simple, but they felt big inside him. Then they turned to walk home. As they went back down the hill, the town seemed to glow a little warmer. Lights in windows, stars in the sky, the sound of a carol drifting from somewhere. They all felt connected now to the quiet stable and the tiny baby. When Lucas climbed into bed that night, he pulled the blankets up to his chin and thought of the manger, the snow, and the gentle story his grandmother had told. Christmas would soon bring presents and music and bright morning noise, but for now it was enough to lie very still and remember a baby in a manger, a night filled with quiet hope, and a love that felt as close as his own heartbeat. Slowly, with those thoughts wrapped around him like a soft blanket, Lucas drifted into peaceful sleep, while outside the stars shone steadily over the small town and the little church on the hill. Good night, sweetheart.